Last week was our first playoff game, and my plaque psoriasis was so itchy under all my gear. Sometimes just thinking about scratching could take me out of the moment. And then my doctor told me I could get clearer skin with a pill called Otezla.
Otezla apremilast is a prescription medicine used to treat adult patients with plaque psoriasis for whom phototherapy or systemic therapy is appropriate. Otezla can help you get clearer skin after just 4 months.
Okay, ready for the next game. Talking to my doctor about a pill was a total game changer.
Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Get medical help right away if you have trouble breathing or swallowing, swelling of the face, lips, tongue, throat, or arms. Severe diarrhea, nausea or vomiting, depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss can happen. Tell your doctor if any of these occur and if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts. Live in the moment. Ask your doctor about Otezla. Call 1-844-4-OTEZLA or visit Otezla.com for prescribing info about cost, and more.
This is Cop Talk, talking crime, cases, and backing the blue. Now, here are your hosts, Captain Ed Mehmet and Detective Kevin Schroeder.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cop Talk. My name is Kevin Schroeder, retired NYPD detective. I'm here with my co-host, retired Captain Ed Mamet. Say hello, Ed.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be on the show with Kevin and our guest.
Thanks, Ed. Today's guest is the president of the NYPD Emerald Society, Detective Brian Flynn. Welcome, Brian.
Welcome to. How are you guys, Kevin? Ed?
Great. I know it's a busy month for you, March. Is that correct?
Oh, March Madness, as we call it.
Yeah,
it's parade season.
Yes. So why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself before we get into the history of the Emerald Society?
I'm 40 years old. I came on the NYPD in 2007, and I followed in the footsteps of my father, who was a retired detective of 31 years. He retired out of Brooklyn South Special Victims. In 2007, when I came out of the police academy, I ended up in the 7-0 precinct in Flatbush. In 2014, I was transferred and picked up the 6-6 detective squad. And then I was ultimately sent to the 6-0 detective squad the summer of 2014. And just last month, I was currently just reassigned to Brooklyn South Homicide Squad.
So mostly Brooklyn?
Yes, all Brooklyn South.
Hey, Captain, did you work in Brooklyn?
Yes, most of my detective career was in Brooklyn. I'm very familiar with the places you work because I worked some of them myself as a detective and as a sergeant and as a lieutenant.
Okay, yeah.
I was a sergeant in the 6-0 squad.
Okay. So I don't know nothing about Brooklyn. I'm a Manhattan cop. But with that said...
I had a lieutenant in the 7-0 squad. I forgot. I had the 7-0 squad, too, before your time.
I followed your footsteps.
1971.
There you go.
1970. Maybe I knew your father.
So, Brian, tell me, how was the Emerald Society formed?
So the Emerald Society was formed back in March 16th, 1953. This March 16th will actually be our 70th anniversary. It was formed by a small group of police women, actually. Doris Burke, Lillian Riley, Mary Patterson, and Eileen Romanchek. They were the women that set everything together. And we formed a society, and then there became presidents and with the bylaws and stuff like that.
Now, what about the pipe and drum band? Is that a separate entity, or you guys, how does that work?
Yes, the pipe and drum band is part of the Emerald Society. Every bagpiper and drummer must be a member of the NYPD Emerald Society to play in the band. They formed in 1960. So just 7 years after us. We work together along with the Gaelic football team, who also has to be members of the Emerald Society to be a part of that organization as well.
Now, how many active members do you have currently with the Emerald Society Police Department?
Currently, it's approximately about 3,000 members.
Active? Active
and retired.
Oh, a combination.
It's a combination. We do have a lot of retirees that stick with us.
As I recall, the leader of the Emerald Society band was a Dunbar Finn. Do you remember him?
I don't remember.
He's a real
him,
big guy.
I do know his name. I do know his Finbar Divine.
Finbar Divine. Finbar Divine. That was the guy.
Right.
He was a real big guy. He was about 6'4", huge, and he had that job for years. He would lead the parade, and he was legendary.
Yes, he was a legendary He was known as like the New York Irish cop.
Yeah, right. So now you have
big guy.
obviously you have the big St. Patrick's Day in New York City coming up, the parade.
Yes.
So tell me the preparation as far as your involvement with the parade, setting up the parade, and also the after party, I believe, at the Pier that you have each year on the west side.
Yes. So there's a lot that goes into it. Right now, we have currently about 40 board members that help me out organizing everything between ordering food and getting permits and licensing and everything for the Pier. The 16th, we actually set up, takes us about 7 or 8 hours to set up the Pier so that on the 17th, we don't have to set anything up. The 17th, our day starts about 6 o'clock in the morning, picking up bagels so that the pipe band can get fed and our board can get fed before we go over to the parade, which we are at the parade route probably about 10 o'clock in the morning. I think we step off about 11 o'clock onto Fifth Avenue. We march all the way up Fifth Avenue and then get back on buses to get back to the Pier on the West Side Highway and 50th Street, where we have to change out of uniform and back into suits so that we can host the party, which we host members from the NYPD, Jersey, all the local police departments, including Chicago, San Francisco, cops that come over from Ireland. There's usually about 40 or 50 of them that come over from Ireland from the Garda Chicago.
So you get cops from all over the world, basically.
Yes.
To the parade. Right.
Yes. Right. And our party usually goes from 1 o'clock in the afternoon to 5 o'clock at night.
Okay. All right. Captain?
What can you tell us about the history of the Irish in the PD? Because it's not only New York, but the Irish took over policing in most of the big cities like Chicago, Boston, Los Angeles. So the Irish really are known for being cops. It's traditional, but I think the history is quite interesting, and I'd like to hear your take on it.
Well, the history of Irish cops is back in history is when they couldn't find jobs and they weren't allowed to have certain jobs, they kind of went with their families and became into law enforcement. And generation after generation, they followed down the family line like I did in my family.
I did research when I wrote a thesis about 30 years ago, and it wasn't about the Irish. It was about the Detective Bureau, the formation of the New York City Police Department Detective Organization. But as part of my research, I came across many references to the Irish in the department. And what I found was most interesting is that when they came here after the potato famine, there was a mayor, a Tammany Hall mayor. His name was Fernando Wood, who was very pro-immigration. And he appointed a police chief named George Matsell. Now, Matsell's origin were English. His parents were from England, but he was born here. And he supported the mayor's policy of hiring immigrants. So he went out and he recruited the Irish, much to the disdain of the ruling class in the city, other than the mayor, which were the Protestants, who were very much against what he was doing. And they accused Matsell of being Irish, and he denied it. He says, no, my family was English. And the city fathers went so far as to send a delegation to England to determine if he was actually of English origin, which he was. So a lot of people don't know that, but the Irish cops got great support from a Protestant against the will of the Protestant majority in the city. And not only that, a lot of it had to do with the Sunday blue laws, because the Protestants were very much against, the alcoholic sales of liquor on Sunday. And the Irish immigrants, they didn't have a problem with it because they just brought their customs over from Ireland. So another fact that played into it was that they felt that the Irish could deal with their fellow Irishmen much better than the other Protestants. So the history is quite interesting. But Matsell's story, I got a kick out of because they actually accused him of being Irish in disguise, which he wasn't.
That's actually pretty interesting.
So, and that was not just New York, but it was all over the country.
Wow.
A lot of people didn't want the job, and the Irish were available, and they needed the work, so they took it. And then they established a link to the police work that's generations old. Father and son and grandson, like Kevin. Mm-hmm. Kevin, right?
Yep.
There's 3 generations, correct?
Yes, 4 generations. Yep, 4th. Yeah, I'm third. My son's 4th generation. Yes, absolutely. So do you have to be Irish to join the Emerald Society, or basically,
No, we accept everybody now. Back in the day, I believe it was, but we accept anybody that wants to be in part of the Emerald Society. We have associated members, we have active members, and retired members.
Oh, okay. Oh, you have associates as well.
Yeah, so you don't have to be actually on the police department to join. You could be a family member of a member of anything like that, and we do that.
Oh, okay. Now, tell me a little bit about the Pier. So what's going on at the Pier this year?
The Pier, we have the Band of Rogues that usually plays. It's our usual house band. They're a great Irish singing band. And then we have the pipe band that does an annual every St. Patrick's Day towards the end of the party. They'll march down the middle of the pier into the crowd, and they play a few sets, and then they march out. And then the pier will be coming to an end about 4 or 5 o'clock.
Gotcha. Is it easy to get everybody? I mean, how many people do you have actually? And then is it easy to get everyone out on time?
There's a lot of people at the pier. I would say probably close to 2,000.
Wow.
Come to the party. It takes some time to get them off, but everybody listens, and then they walk out, they have a good time, and then they go out to Manhattan and enjoy the rest of the night and go bar hopping. It's a luncheon.
Yeah, exactly. And then you guys get to go home.
Eventually, about 11 o'clock at night after cleaning up.
Oh, you actually do the cleaning up.
Yeah, we have to break everything down, clean everything up before we can leave.
Right. Now, you rent the pier, I guess, for the day, or?
Yeah, we rent the pier for the day.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. In regards to the membership, so is there delegates in each precinct? Like, how do the cops out there join? Is pretty much the delegates still sell the,
yes.
for the membership?
Yeah, you can apply for the membership online through our website, NYPD Emerald Society.com. Or you can see a delegate we should have a delegate in every single precinct, which is overseen by our vice presidents of the boroughs, which you get the membership cards. The day of St. Patrick's Day, we do not sell membership cards so that it's a little less hectic for us. Right. So people for the next week, I'll be getting phone calls from 6 o'clock in the morning to midnight looking for cards so they can get on the pier, which is always interesting driving up to the Bronx to give people membership cards, but we know how much it means to them. But most of our membership is raised, basically, we raise money to provide our members' children's for scholarship funds after they take tests and stuff.
Brian, when did you come on the board?
I came on the board probably about 2014. I was a delegate for the 7-0 precinct in 2009. I got onto the executive board in 2018.
And how many folks on the executive board?
The executive board, there's 4. There's the president, the vice president, the financial treasurer, and the treasurer.
The treasurer. Was it a 2-year term?
2-year term. Every 2 years in October, we'll have nominations. And then in November, we have elections. And then the new term would start January 1st of that following year.
Oh, so you're nominated then?
Yeah, you're nominated in elections.
Your snacking routine can get a little dull. Time for an Oikos remix. Like a crunchy storm of sea salt praline pretzels, dark chocolate, and butter toffee, showering down into a smooth, creamy yogurt. Enjoy 3 Oikos Remix varieties with epic mix-ins and 11 grams of complete protein per 4.5-ounce serving. See remixyogurt.com.
Okay. So you could be not in the top 4 and still become the president?
Yes. If you want to run for it, you can.
Yeah,
not too many people.
Right?
Not too many people want this job.
Exactly. Believe me, I know. No, I hear you. What other events do you have coming up besides the big one, St. Patty's Day?
We also have on March 18th, we have the Yonkers Parade on McLean Avenue. The 25th, we have the Bayside Parade out in Bayside, Queens. March 26th, we have the Bay Ridge Parade is one of our final parades, March 26th. We just did last weekend on the 5th, we did the Staten Island. We had a party out in Staten Island. We usually march in that parade.
Okay, gotcha. We had the commissioner of Yonkers PD on. He'll be on his show will be released soon. We taped with him a couple of weeks ago, and he's the commissioner of Yonkers PD, Christopher Sapienza. Did you ever meet him?
I never met him.
He's not Irish.
I know, but he's a good man. He was on our show, and they're busy up there as well, up in Yonkers.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
One side of the street's Yonkers, the other is Bronx, right?
Exactly. I always thought Yonkers was the Bronx. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what do I know? Captain?
Yeah, I think, Brian, it should be pointed out that the society is not a religious society, really. It's an ethnic society, correct? So you would take in anybody who's of Irish origin, regardless of their religion.
Oh, yes.
Correct? I mean, you don't have to be a Catholic to be a member of the Emerald Society, because there are Irish people who are not Catholics. You have Protestants, you have other groups, you have Jews who are Irish.
Yes, no, you're correct. I mean, we don't ever X religion, but I mean, most of it is a Catholic-run organization. We do have a priest on our board, Father Gormley from St. Clair's.
There are a lot of ethnic societies in the PD, as you know, but religion isn't an issue. There are religious societies, and then there are the ethnic societies. So you could be of any religion if your ethnicity is the same as the group you belong to. So let's say a Protestant who has Irish background could be part of your organization. He may not.
Yes.
He may not tell everybody he's a Protestant, but he can still be part of the organization. Am I correct?
Yes.
Brian,
no, you are. You are correct.
Are you a member of any other organizations with the police department besides the Emerald?
I'm actually a member of the Honor Legion, which is the Honor Legion is a fraternal organization where you have to have a commendation or better as a medal to join that one.
How about the Holy Name too?
Holy Name, I am a member of the Holy Name Society. I try to tell everybody to be members of all the societies.
Right.
If you can, we all wear the same uniform and we're all the same family, and we all try to keep each other afloat and help each other out.
Absolutely. Now, do you actually, I know, like we spoke before, the pipe band does do other cities and states.
Yes.
Do you go do any other parades besides New York as far as the membership?
We do not. We try to stay local because there's so many parades in New York. We try to represent every single borough for all the members. So like the Savannah one, I always heard about and I would love to go, and maybe one day I'll be able to go.
Yeah.
But for now, we stay local just to make sure that all of our boroughs are covered for their local parades.
Right. I know 1990, we carried your banner out in Chicago.
I'm sure you did.
And Chicago guys are great out there. Chicago, Savannah's great. Boston's great. All these cities, I know back in the 90s, we used to go out there with the Emerald Society membership. And whether the band was there or not, we were there.
Yeah.
We had a blast.
Yeah, we do stay local because there's so many. Back then, I don't think there was so many parades.
Right. No, you're right. You're right.
You had the one Manhattan parade, and then the borough parades really weren't that big.
Maybe you had Staten Island back then, but that was about it,
Yeah.
Captain?
Do you find that the size of the organization has gotten much smaller like the others have? For example, I'm a member of the Shamram Society. I've been a member since 1959. And when I came on, there was about 2,000 Jewish cops, believe it or not. Many of them were, they came on during the Depression when jobs were hard to get, and after the wars. And then the society's down now to maybe a couple of hundred. So over the years, the size of these groups have gotten much smaller. Has that happened to the Emerald Society?
It has gotten smaller, and I believe it's because of the diversity in the department. The department is so diverse now that there's no majority of a certain ethnicity on the police department to make one stronger than the other. It's very diverse. So the Hispanic Society is very well doing. The Desi Society, the African American Society, the Garda Society, everybody has their own societies now that it has separated. And the members on the job, we were saying earlier, back in the days, it was majority Irish, and which we don't see that now, but we still do have a strong following.
It turns out, from what I see, that people are not, these younger cops are not that interested in joining these societies anymore. That's why we have the same problem with Shamram.
That is true. That is very true, that you don't see the younger cops being active in fraternals as much as they used to, because it used to be a very social event to go out once a month and to go hang out with the guys. But they work so much now that they don't want to be with you on their day off.
The overtime is crazy, isn't it? It's unbelievable.
Yes.
It's like everyone's just a transit cop now.
That's it.
Amongst other things. Other things,
Yes.
Brian, besides the Emerald Society, besides the Holy Name Society, any other police department organizations, fraternities that march in the St. Patty's Day Parade?
The pipe band marches and then the regular band marches. The PBA will march. The fraternals really don't march too much in the St. Patrick's Day parade. They all pretty much fall under our banner and march with us together.
And how about Goal? Do they march with you guys too?
Goal does march, and they did march, I believe.
Is it still called Goal? Gay Officers
Yeah.
Association League? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure where they are to that fact, but they are allowed to march.
Oh, okay, good. So they're allowed to march now. Right. Okay,
Yes.
great.
Do you know when the very first parade began? I don't.
The very first St. Patrick's Day. This is I want to say this is the 253rd St. Patrick's Day parade, and it's always led by.
It's a long time.
Oh yes, it's a very long time ago.
Are you on the job, Captain? I thought you were on the job for the first parade.
No, it was a couple of years later.
I was on the job for the 10th one.
You know, there was a time when they actually had a police department parade. If you look in the history of the PD, back around in the late 19th century, they had a police department parade. It was unbelievable. And that stopped. A lot of things changed.
Yeah.
But history is very interesting.
Yeah.
It
was predominantly Irish.
I believe the parade started in 1762-ish, I want to say.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Are you sure about that day? Because the Irish didn't get here until the 1845, I think. The potato famine was in the 1840s, right?
Yes, but the original parade was it was 1762 that the parade, maybe, yeah. I got to check that.
No, you're right. There were Irish here because the Marine Corps was formed by Irishmen, believe it or not, in a bar in, where was it again? During the Revolutionary War. It was mostly Irish.
Yeah,
it was an Irish bar. And where was it? Philadelphia. It was an Irish bar, and that's where the Marine Corps was formed. So there was an Irish presence back then.
Yeah.
But not as much as after the potato famine.
You know, Brian, back in like the late 80s, they used to have the after party instead, not the Pier. It was at the Coliseum, New York Coliseum, Columbus Circle.
Yes.
And back then, you could march in uniform and go to the
straight to the party?
Right to the party. Right to the party. And after a few other things, then that stopped, of course. And now everyone marches, changes their clothes, and and then right into civvies, and then enjoy the rest of the night. No one knows it's all good.
No,
it's amazing how times have changed, right?
Yes,
crazy.
You don't see that anymore.
No. I mean, you just want. Unfortunately, you just want to march and get the bag off, basically. Which is sad but true. But I just want to thank you, Brian, for coming on Cop Talk, and we look forward to seeing you on St. Patrick's Day, and look forward to seeing all our other members of service throughout the country and world actually attending your event at the Pier. So once again, thanks, Brian, and happy St. Patrick's Day, and stay safe and healthy. Captain?
Thank you, Brian. It's a pleasure speaking with you. And I'll bet you didn't know that corned beef and cabbage is not an Irish dish in New York.
It's Jewish, isn't it? It's Jewish, right?
Yeah. Yes. No, because what happened when the Irish came here, they were eating pork, and it was very, very expensive. So when they saw that the Jews were eating beef, they were creating corned beef, which was cheaper. So they substituted the corned beef for the pork, and they added to the cabbage. So it was a Jewish dish.
Wow.
A lot of people don't know that.
Wow.
But that was strictly New York.
There you go.
New York and the other cities, they just couldn't afford the traditional meat that they were using.
Detective Brian Flynn. Detective Brian Flynn.
New York history.
Detective Brian Flynn, President of the Emerald Society, New York City Police Department. Thank you. Thank you for being on Cop Talk.
Thank you guys very much.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thank you, Brian.